G'day people and welcome. If I were to show you how to use the windscreen wipers, the lights and the indicators in a car, if the next car you got into was pretty similar, you'd be able to find them again. It wouldn't be that hard to do. That's sort of what I'm doing today. I'm showing you on a 644D how to do a bunch of things on a range of other Janome machines. They basically all have their controls in the same place, and they might be marked very slightly differently, but pretty much the same. So if you can follow along with me, hopefully you'll be able to work out what your machine does too. At the top you can see my tension discs for left needle, right needle, upper looper and lower looper. I need to have my telegraph all the way up and make sure that none of the threads at the top are caught on anything. On the right hand side of my machine I have my stitch length, which is measured in millimetres. It goes from 1, which I can't imagine any time where I would want to be that low, through rolled hem and up as far as 5. 5 is a pretty long stitch length. Mostly I'm using it around about the 3 mark. At the bottom is my dial for differential feed. The lowest it can go is 0.5, and that's going to be stretching the fabric as I sew. 1, it should be neither stretching nor gathering, and 2.5, it will be gathering. Differential feed is one of those things that lots of people have heard of, but not many people really know what it does. Your overlocker has 2 sets of feed dogs, a front set and a back set. When you've got your differential feed set to 1, they work together. As much as the front one does, the back one does. So it's normal on some machines, it's 1 on some machines. What it means is they're working together. When I set my machine to 2, the front set of feed dogs is going to work twice as hard as the back set. So the back set will go half as much as the front set. And essentially that means the machine is pulling in more fabric than it's pushing out at the back. That's how we use it to gather. If you set the differential feed below 1, then the back set is going to be working harder than the front set. And that means that the machine is going to be stretching your fabric. If you are sewing on stretchy fabrics and you are finding that the edges are getting that lovely homemade wavy look, set your differential feed up a little bit higher, and that will bring it in and make things flat. On the other hand, if when you're sewing your fabric is gathering, then you need to set your differential feed lower. So this is something for you to play with as you're sewing, depending on what's happening with your fabric. At the left side of your machine, when you open it up, you have this, which is for moving your cutter up and down. I don't recommend you ever do it, because the thing you're most likely to do if you try and sew with the cutter down is to break a looper. This knob allows me to move my cutter, which is here. So when I turn that towards me, hopefully you can see the top of the cutter there is moving over to the right. When I turn the top of it away from me, the cutter is moving to the left. So that's one of the knobs that you need to know where it is. I open the front cover by pulling to the right and down gently. You'll notice I've got a space down here for my needle threader. I've got my places that show me how to thread the machine, which I used in my previous video. And at the front there are diagrams that show you what each colour thread appears like in the stitching. In order to move the finger for the rolled hem, I need to put my thumb on this cubic sort of bit at the bottom and push my cutter over to the right. It requires quite a bit of effort to do it, and when I've done that I can move the stitch finger down out of the way. To get it back into standard position I have to do the same thing again, thumb on there, push it over and move that in. To begin stitching, place the fabric under there, but you don't need to lift it up. The machine will catch it as long as it's not a thick fabric. Always try to make sure that you are taking some fabric off with the cutter. You may notice that we've got some markings on here. If my seam allowance is 1 centimetre and I've got my left needle in, then the distance between that left needle and the broken line here is 1 centimetre. At the side of the machine there's a cutter. If I take that chain to the back and pull it forward, it will cut the chain off. There's my stitching, and there is what I cut off. So that fabric plus where this is about 1 centimetre. The information here that shows 5/8 of an inch, if you're doing a garment and the pattern has got 5/8 of an inch of seam allowance, put the cut edge on that 5/8. And the two lines are indicating left needle and right needle. If you only have the right needle in, you need to put the cut edge on the right one. If you've got the left needle in, put the cut edge on the one on the left. So there's the seam and there's the extra fabric that was cut off, and you can see it's quite a lot of fabric that was cut off. You may notice at the moment that this seam that has just been stitched is the fabric is sort of curled over, and the reason for that is what I'm about to show you. That's an adjustment with the cutter. I open the side of the machine and turn the top. I'm going to turn it as far to the right as I can, and I'm going to just do one layer of fabric through here. And now I'm going to change it and move my cutter over to the left. So you'll see this piece moving over to the left. And now I'm going to take it all the way over to the left. Not that you'll see very much of this because the cutter's only working from down here. When the cutter was all the way over to the right, the fabric is being bent. There's too much of it in those loops. In the middle section, it was a lot better. It was a lot closer to where it needed to be. So I should be getting a flatter lot of stitching. And when I got all the way over and moved it to the left, you actually end up with some of these threads sort of hanging off the edge. They don't have enough fabric in them to fill them up. Often when people are sewing with their overlocker and they see those loopy bits hanging off the edge, they immediately think, oh, it's a tension issue. Generally it's not. Generally it means that you are cutting too much fabric off and those loops are hanging over because there's not enough fabric to fill up the loops. If you're sewing with a really thick fabric, you need to cut more of it off, otherwise it does overfill the loops. So the kind of fabric you're using makes a huge difference to where that cutter should be. A great many people are not aware that they actually have control over that, and that's part of your making your sewing look better by being able to adjust it to work with the fabric that you're sewing. If I was sewing the shoulder of a t-shirt, so I've got two pieces of fabric here, I would feed the fabric in. Always make sure you're cutting something off. So even if your pattern says it's only got a 6mm or 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, which is about what the width of the stitch is, I would still be cutting a little bit off. I had a chain at the front, I end up with a chain. It's not a good idea to cut the chains off right next to the fabric. That's the way you get overlocking to accidentally come undone. if you leave the chains intact until they get cut off by the next part of the sewing, as will happen here, or if you get to the very end of the sewing and you've got some chains still attached, that's the time to check out my other video about how to finish chains off. If I was then going to put my sleeve in here next to the shoulder, piece of fabric on there, and once again just let the machine feed it, but always make sure you trim at least a little bit off. So there it is from the sleeve side, and there it is from the shoulder side. I've been doing these for years and I've never had one of these seams come apart. If you can see your threads in there and they're very visible, that means that you need to make sure that the threads are properly bedded down into your tension discs. Next I'm going to do a rolled hem along this edge. Open up the side of the machine, thumb on there, push this whole piece across and move the stitch finger from standard to rolled hem and then release it. Move this switch from standard to rolled hem. That changes all the tensions in the machine. And the other thing I should have thought to do was actually move my cutting blade as far over to the right as I can. Always make sure you're cutting off at least a little bit. And I didn't do it right. What did I do wrong? I didn't change the stitch length. I need to take that down to R, so let me do that again. You will notice that in the book they tell you to take out the left needle. There are a few reasons why I don't tend to do one needle rolled hems. The main one is that I'm lazy, and if I take the needle out I have to replace it later and I have to worry about making sure the thread doesn't get caught and all those sorts of things. In addition to that, if I am on a loose weave fabric and I only have one needle in, there is a possibility that after I've done my beautiful rolled hem and it all looks wonderful, the whole rolled hem just pulls away from the fabric because there isn't enough for it to grab hold of and it falls to pieces. Whilst I didn't use it in the video, there is a product called woolly nylon, and the thread is similar to candy floss, cotton candy, fairy floss, those sorts of things. The really sweet stuff that you buy at the fair. Because the thread is like that and it's a bit stretchy, if you use this in the upper looper, it will make the stitching around the edge look prettier. It gives it a slight sheen and it covers that edge better. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you went out and bought this. It's got a bit of stretch in it. If you're making a lot of leotards or swimmers, bathers, cozies, togs, whatever they call swimming costumes in your part of the world, maybe it is worth doing. For most people, it's an expensive and probably not very necessary thing to have. If you are going to use it, you thread it into the machine by tying on to the previous thread and pulling it through. So you're perfectly at liberty to take that left needle out. It will make the whole thing narrower. I personally like it with two needles in. To gather on my machine, all I'm going to do is set my differential feed up to 2.5 to start with. And I am still going to be making sure that I'm trimming off just a little bit. I'm probably looking at that and thinking, well, that's not much of a gather, but it is actually enough if what you're needing is to ease something through the top of a sleeve. To make it a bigger gather, I'm going to change my needle thread tensions, so the yellow and blue ones on the left, both up to 7. You'll notice I wasn't actually pulling the fabric out at the back there, and that's because if I had, I would have pulled the gathers out as fast as I put them in. When you get to the end, pull from the bit that has just come out of the machine, not the bit that went into the machine first. And that is a much tighter gather. In order to make that a much tighter gather, I need to get the yellow and blue threads, which are the ones that are straight through the middle of the chain, and pull them out. And then I'm going to pull this fabric up onto those needle threads. And hopefully you can see there that that is a very much tighter gather than it is over here. At this end, I'm being gentle because I don't want the chain to knot up on itself. If I wanted to release some of this gathering, I can, as long as I've got enough thread of the yellow and blue to release it onto, because the way this gathering works, it has gathered it onto the yellow and blue threads. There are 2 ways that I know of to make these gather more strongly. There is actually a gathering foot that will help, and another way is what I'm doing now. And I'm just keeping my finger at the back so that the fabric doesn't easily come off. And that does also increase your gather. The lighter the weight of the fabric, the better this will gather. It's not going to work on corduroy or denim. I think I've remembered to cover all the things I wanted to cover in this. Be aware that sometimes in the books they say you can do things like flat locking, and that's a technique that is done on a machine to try to look something like what a cover stitch does. The thing you are most likely to do if you do flat locking is break your machine, and the reason for that is that you sew with the cutter down, and if you get the fabric just a little bit too far over, it interferes with the loopers and you probably end up breaking the tip off your looper. So it's not something I would ever recommend that anyone did with their overlocker. At this point, I hope you've learned something about your machine, and I'll see you next time.